Ken with Ken's Creations. Well, about a week ago I did my first part in the Brothers Scan and Cut review, and it was the unboxing and my first impressions of the scan and cut of paper. And now I wanted to do the second part, which is the scan and cut of stamped images. But before we dive into that, I want to revisit some parts from the first part of the series. I got some feedback, and some of it was some great feedback. One of the things that a lot of people was telling me was the fact that the Brothers Scan and Cut does a much better job when you scan items that do not have broken lines. And what I mean by that is, if you remember in the first video I had this images, and anytime you have these broken lines, the scan and cut has a problem. And one of the workarounds that I kept hearing over and over again was to take a pencil, draw a line around your item, and the Brothers Scan and Cut would pick that up and cut around it. So I tested that, and sure enough, it does work. So I'm going to show you how in the first video, if you remember, it would not scan this, it would not cut this. So we're going to go ahead and test this. I'm going to put it on my mat. What I've done is I'm taking a pencil, and I have drawn a line around the gingerbread house here. And as you guys know, I'm not a fan of these mats. They just lose their tack really quick. So what we're going to do now that I have drawn that pencil outline is I'm going to go ahead and put this into my machine. I'm going to do a direct cut. I'm going to load this. We're going to go ahead and scan it. And this is just a workaround that a lot of people gave me feedback on. And even though I still don't agree with the fact that this is something you should have to do with the machine that you paid a lot of money for, it does work. And let's go ahead and show you what it comes up with. We'll hit OK, and as you can see, it did detect my pencil marks. So I'm going to go ahead and just go around this house here because I don't want to cut around those other houses. There we go, and we can hit OK. There's that house, and I got a little bit of that sign, which is okay. I'm going to hit OK and start. Alright, so there is the house. Now the first time, if you remember, I could not detect it because the lines weren't dark enough. So by just using that simple workaround, by taking a pencil, drawing lines, and now I could go back and erase the pencil lines if I wanted to around that house. So even though I'm not wild about that workaround, I wish the machine could scan it. Obviously, due to scanner, the dark contrast, complex patterns, this is a workaround that you can get some of those complex patterns to work and cut for you. So that is one of the feedback I got from my first video. So let's go ahead and get right into the stamped images and see how that part of the machine works. So as you're aware, in the first part of my series, we took a look at unboxing it, and we took a look at cutting the design paper, and some of you know I was a little let down. Well, in the second part of my video series, we take a look at stamped images, and this is where the machine really does come alive. I've spent quite a few time stamping and taking a look at what this machine can do, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the stamping abilities and cutting on this machine. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this machine can do with stamping and then scanning and cutting that. We're going to go ahead, and the first one I'm going to take a look at is from a Cricut Stamp Set. It is this Love one here, and I went ahead and stamped this twice, and the reason why is we're going to do one where it actually will cut just around perfectly to see how it does, and then we're going to also do a little bit of an offset here because I know some stampers like a little bit of an offset there. So I'm gonna first load our mat. Now I will let you know sometimes when you load your design into the machine, it won't recognize it at first. And one trick I've noticed is just by simply moving your design somewhere else on the mat, it will sometimes pick it up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit scan. And for this one, we're going to do a direct cut. Alright, we're just going to hit start, and that's going to scan that design. Alright, and as you can see, my mat is really dirty, so we're going to go ahead and hit OK there. And it recognized my design. There's a dark line around that. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in just right on that stamp. And for this one, I'm not going to do any offset on this one. I'm just going to cut right around the stamp to see how well it does. So I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to hit cut. Actually, I'm going to go back a little bit, make sure we get and we're just going to hit start. Just like that, we're done. We're going to hit OK, eject it. And this is what I was saying is, this is where this machine does come alive. Look at that cut. It is perfect right around that love. And here, as you can see, is right around the circle. So for the next one, what I want to do is show you the same stamp, but we're going to do a little bit of an outline around it. And on all my test cuts, we did the same thing so I could show you. I know when I stamp, sometimes I like a little bit of an outline around my stamp. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a direct cut. And I'm going to go ahead and scan that. Now, as you can see, it's registering a lot of stuff on my mat here. Now, you can cover up your mat with just white paper so it doesn't register all of that. But because I'm just going to be zooming it on the stamp, I'm not too worried about that. Now, this is where we can go ahead and change to where it actually will go a little bit larger around it. So we want our outline distance, and I want it to go up to a 0.08. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK again. I want it to cut, and go ahead and hit start. Alright, and there is that same one with a nice outline. So as you can see, the one with an outline and one without the outline. And you can of course add as much of an outline as you would like. So for the next cut, I'm going to try to cut these calla lilies here. And we're going to do one right onto the calla lily and one on an outline. So let's see how the machine does. Alright, so it recognized our calla lily, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in. Now we're going to see how well this does it, because I'm not going to do an outline on this one, or an offset on this one. I want to see how well, because this is a pretty fine line on this calla lily here. You want to get it in as close as you can on that. And so we'll hit OK and see what that looks like. We're going to hit cut and start. And once again, when I said I wasn't impressed with the paper cutting, it's the stamping where this machine comes to life. That is simply stunning. How it not only registered that, but that's just amazing. Let me show you. Let me grab. So let's go ahead and do the next one. Well, actually, look at that. I mean, there is no black left along that. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time we are going to go ahead and give it a little bit of an outline. So we'll just zoom in on that calla lily. And let's go ahead and just give this a 0.4 outline. Hit OK. We want to cut that and start. And I didn't catch that it tried to cut out, as you can see, the letters calla lily, and I didn't catch that, so it actually cut it out of the bottom there. So that's my fault, not the machine's fault. But look at this here. It's absolutely stunning. So keep in mind that's my fault. I didn't catch that writing down there. I should have gotten rid of that. So that's not the machine's fault. But it's absolutely amazing. So there it is so far. Next thing we're going to do is try cutting. This is color ink. That's the little guy in the rain. So same process. I'm going to try doing one. Alright, so this is the first one. As you can see, it didn't pick up all of this guy here. It just picked up his coat pocket. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and eject the mat, and we're going to first try moving him around and see if that fixes our problem. Couple things is it could just be we need to move him, or it could be the ink is too light. And see what I was saying? Just by moving that image, it picked it up. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a scanner issue. I'm not sure. But just by moving it from the center to the top, it picked up our stamped image. So, little trick there. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in here. I'm telling you what, this is where this machine does shine, is your stamping. If you are a stamper and you do a lot of stamping and you need a machine that cuts, this is the machine for you. So once again, just like everything else that I've tested, we'll try a little bit of an outline here. While that's scanning, you can see there once again just how good that machine does an outline. Didn't pick up the little, of course, drops there, but still pretty good. All right, let's see if it registered this. And it didn't register it. It just, once again, just got his little pockets. So we're going to eject it. And all we need to simply do is just move it to somewhere else on the mat. Once again, I'm not sure why that is. But sometimes by simply doing that trick, still didn't pick that one up. So we'll try one more time, and if it doesn't pick it up, we'll move on. I will say that's the only complaint I have had when running the test of the stamping. As much as I've been impressed by how well it does do the cutting and how well it the ability on the scanning and cutting, is it's just the inconsistency at time. That can be frustrating, so I wish it was a little bit more consistent. When it does perform to what its abilities are and what it's supposed to do, it's magnificent. It's just very inconsistent. Picked up a little more, but oh well, we'll move on. The last thing I wanted to show you is my logo here. Now this is what I was saying in the very beginning of the video. So if I scan this right now, it is going to separate everything here and want to cut it separate because it is obviously not a cohesive piece. So what we need to do to fix that is kind of what we did in the beginning with the house. We're going to take the stamp, and I'm just going to take my pencil and draw a very light pencil around it that I'm going to end up erasing anyways. Now you could go into, when we get to that, their actual canvas program or into the pattern and add a circle that way. But for time's sakes, I just want to do this quickly for you. So there, it got that one there. So we'll go ahead and go to that one. So that is a workaround where you can obviously make a circle around something to get it to cut. Now, like I said, I just drew a very wonky circle, so that's not the machine's fault. However, you can go and add a pattern circle. You can also go into their canvas program and add a circle and make it much better, much cleaner, and it will look a lot better. And that would be your workaround on these images that are not one cohesive piece, because what's going to happen is, as you saw on the image before that, it will try to cut all of this individual, which you don't want it to do. So that's your workaround on that. So that is just some cut pieces there for you on how to cut stamps. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you some of my test cuts and what I thought of them and how they turned out, and give you my final thoughts on the stamping. So I did a whole bunch of different sample cuts. The first one I started with was this Santa Claus here, and he did great. Here is him, just his cut right on the line, and there is him with his outline. So I was really happy with the way he turned out. Right after him, I wanted to do this teddy bear, and I figured the teddy bear would do great. However, I moved the teddy bear everywhere on the mat, and the only thing I can think of is, because this teddy bear, as you can see here, has all those little dots, as you can see, and they don't really connect. I just don't know if the machine didn't recognize it or didn't see it as one full piece, I could not get the machine to recognize it. So this was my first piece that I could not cut, which kind of made me nervous. I thought, oh no, here we go again. This is going to be the paper debacle. However, after that point, I went on a streak of success. I had these acrylic stamps, and they were amazing. So here is these stamps. And they were my first one I did with color because I wanted to see how color would do with the stamps. Here's orange and of course purple. The orange did great, worked amazing, and as you can see, had no problems with it. The next thing I did was this flower. I was very nervous about this flower. It had very thin lines. It was also very complicated, and I figured there's no way this is going to cut, and lo and behold, I was shocked. It did a great job. It not only got right up to those, but it did an amazing job cutting right on the stem. And then here, as you can see, is one with the outline. So just did an amazing job on this stamp. I was really impressed with it. Next came one that was my first lesson that it just could not do. This was another one that no matter what I did, it would scan certain letters, it didn't scan other letters. Of course, this was one that obviously I would have had to draw a pencil around it or put a box around it because it wanted to cut everything individually. So this was one, unfortunately, I got everything but the Y, and I probably scanned this one about 10 different times, and finally the Y was the one that I could not get to scan. So this is what I was saying on the Brother Scan and Cut, that I love the stamping, I really do. However, it is frustrating that it's inconsistent, and we do have to find these ways to make it work, which is kind of frustrating. Alright, the next thing I did was Miss Tweety, or Mr. Tweety, and he did great, as you can see. And look at the hair. It did an amazing job. Look at how close it got on that hair. Just absolutely amazing. And what I do love about the outline is how consistent it is. It's consistent all the way around, and you don't have to worry about it being inconsistent the further it gets away. The next thing I tried to cut was this, and I knew that it probably wasn't going to cut this because of the thin line and it wasn't connected, but I just wanted to see. It did register the big dots right here, but nothing else it could register. But it would have been nice if it could, but once again, I had pretty low expectations on that one. This here, I was pretty impressed. This is a tiny little border. As you can see, it comes from this stamp set right here. And it did an amazing job, as you can see right there. Tiny little border, cut it beautifully. Here is a nice little tag here that came from that same stamp set that says "Hello Gorgeous" right there. And once again, as you can see, did beautiful, got right up to the edges there, no problem. And I just love how it turned out. The last thing I wanted to do is one that had multiple colors in the stamp. And as you can see there, it picked that up fine and did a great job. And this one, as you can see, look at how great it did along those stamps there. It just is an amazing job with these stamps. I can't say enough on how well it does with stamps. And so everyone, that is the Brother Scan and Cut with stamped images. So I know some of you thought in the first series I was being a little hard on the Brother Scan and Cut with the unboxing and how it was on cutting paper. I will say this machine, in my opinion, is made for a stamper. It does a beautiful job on cutting stamped images. I was very impressed with its scanning ability on stamped images and cutting it. And it's probably because you are stamping usually with black ink on a white image, so it usually always picked up the stamped image and it had a perfect time cutting it dead on, and of course then you can add an outline, so it does a beautiful job. And for someone who usually was stamping and cutting out those stamps, this is a huge time saver. And for me, if I was a stamper, I would be turning to this as my favorite tool in my scrap room. I would be using it all the time. So I have to say, for someone who uses stamps, it is a must-have. The next video in this series, I'm going to be taking a look at their Canvas program. I want to see exactly how good this program is at doing SVG files. I want to see how to import them into the machine using the USB, and just kind of how user-friendly it is and what my opinions and thoughts are on this program. So my final thoughts though on stamping is, I will say it is probably one of the strongest features of the Brother Scan and Cut, way better than my first thoughts of the scanning of paper and cutting images right off of the direct cut of paper. I did find a few videos from one of my YouTube subscribers on some tricks and tips on better ways to do a direct scan and cut of papers, and I will be showing you those tips and tricks. So thank you very much to that YouTube subscriber. I really do appreciate that. So that's coming soon. So make sure you guys are following my blog over at www.creativeken.blogspot.com. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure you're getting all of my upcoming Brother Scan and Cut videos. If you liked this video, make sure to give me 2 thumbs up. Make sure to leave me some great comments. Share it, like it, comment, you know what to do. Also make sure you're following my Twitter page, my Facebook page, my Pinterest page, all of the great pages. I love it when you guys are checking me out all over the internet. And don't forget to go out there, create something magical, share it with the world, and thanks so much for watching today's video. I truly do adore each and every one of you. Alright guys, thanks so much, and come back soon to check out what other creations I make. Alright guys, have a great day.